In this special Earth Day version of Political Personalities with Skye, I'm wearing a green dress, and we are going to go through what is recyclable and what isn't, featuring New York State Senator John Mannion, who's based in Syracuse, New York. So we are doing this via Zoom for this very special Earth Day episode of Political Personalities with Skye. So today is Earth Day, that's why I'm wearing a green dress, and I see you have a green tie on there, Senator Mannion, and you have an extensive science background, and there's a lot of legislators in New York that have a science background, so tell us about that.
I've been a public school teacher for a very long time, up until just about 15 months ago when I was first elected and served. So I am a biology major and hold a master's in science, master's of science in secondary education in science. So I've taught chemistry, earth science, and for the last 22 years, I taught AP biology. So we, of course, went into a lot of topics, and I certainly am proud to have had the support of many environmental organizations and feel like I've done a lot of good for the environment over a long period of time, and most importantly, educating my students on what it takes to be responsible themselves individually when it comes to environmental practices, and also, on a larger scale, legislatively or otherwise. So I really appreciate you having me on today, and happy to have this conversation.
Yeah, now before we get into the legislative part of your work, the most recent part of your work, I'm interested to know what made you want to be a science teacher. Did you have a really great science teacher when you were in high school?
I actually did. He has a name, Mr. Webster. He retired not so long ago. And what's kind of great about being from Central New York, I had the opportunity to teach his daughter and a lot of other kids. So it has kind of come full circle. I really enjoyed my time in a classroom. I was not really ready to leave, but saw an opportunity to, hopefully do some good in a different way. And that's what gets me into the seat in Albany.
Yeah. So now let's talk about some of the things you can bring to the legislature coming from a science background, and specific to Earth Day, what we can do collectively to do right by the earth when it comes to recycling, especially.
Absolutely. So, listen, we in our state, in our country, in our world, we really do have a problem. We have a problem when it comes to plastics, but we have a problem when it comes to recycling lots of things. We're talking about, a couple different things here. Physical recovery of plastics and then reusing those plastics. Some of those plastics can be reimagined in a process called mechanical recycling. But what one of my pieces of legislation talks about is something that, again, I talk about this because we have such an extreme problem when it comes to recycling, and specifically plastics recycling, is that there's a process called advanced recycling. We have the technology right now. It takes those plastics that are filling our landfills and continuing to fill our landfills, and takes them reverts them to a previous form. So it puts them into like the monomer form, where we can then rebuild those plastics. And I do think that if we're really going to meet our challenges as it comes to plastics and recycling, that this can play a role.
And this isn't a Democrat or Republican problem. This is a real world problem that we're facing. Okay, so here it says, can you tell what is recyclable?
Okay.
And when I open this box, it's a bunch of plastic things that I would have just assumed each one of these items was recyclable. Red Solo cup, everyone's favorite cup.
You would think so. So these are not recyclable. And people take those Solo cups and they put them in their recycling bins, but they're not recyclable.
Okay, regular water bottle.
I certainly hope they are recyclable, and I believe that they are. Otherwise, we would not be paying, putting a 5-cent refund on those bottles and returning them. But that's the kind of thing where you would expect we're doing really, really well as far as recycling goes of those, because it's costing people money if they don't recycle them. But unfortunately, a lot of that money stays where it starts.
This is like a yogurt cup.
Yeah, so number fives, those are ones that we do not recycle. Back to that plastic bottle, which is type one, those are recycled by mechanical recycling that we talked about before, where they take these plastics, they kind of end up in like a pulp kind of nature to them, and the things that we can recycle them into are limited. So you showed that yogurt cup, and yogurt is a big industry in New York State, and proud to be a big industry in New York State. So there's something that we cannot recycle, and as a result, it's something that we have to work on. And I see that plastic cup that you're holding, and it's a sign that we can do better.
There you have it, folks. We just heard from New York State Senator John Mannion, who spent most of his career as a science educator and is now working on some science-related legislation for the state of New York as it pertains to recycling plastics.